talk to you all. This is still a part of the live I did earlier, which is called No More Distractions. We're going to consider this as a part two. It's been placed in my heart over the next 2 or 3 days just to go live maybe twice a day and talk about no more distractions. So, this particular subject for today, for this afternoon, is going to be on doing the impossible. Now, I'm going to come at you really fast and really strong. One, I got another meeting I've got to attend in a little bit. But I want to start challenging you all on dreaming so big that it captures God's attention. Are you guys even aware that God is a generational God? God thinks generationally, He thinks bigger. And so, what I didn't know, hello everybody, can you all hear me? Want to make sure everyone can hear me. Someone says, call you. Hey, Pam. Oh my gosh, I love me some Pam. Hey. So I was live earlier today, and I'm just going live again for a little bit. Are you guys aware now? For those who are in my mentorship group, you guys already know this. We've talked about some of this. Are you guys aware that God thinks generationally? Sometimes, and I'm going to see who can catch this really quickly because I'm not going to be able to be live for longer than maybe 20, 30 minutes, give or take. So catch this really quickly. I'm going to throw it at you. Sometimes moves and shifts have not been made in our lives yet because we're thinking too small. It's not even big enough to even, now I want to say this the right way because I believe everything captures God's attention, but it's not even big enough to even give much thought to because we're thinking too small. Now, I taught this earlier, it was last week, Wednesday, in my Wednesday group. Wednesdays when I meet with entrepreneurs. Some of them may be in this live right now. And we talked about the difference between thinking 2x and the difference between thinking 10x. And for many of you who know the difference between 2x and 10x, those of you in the business world, you know exactly what I'm talking about already. So I'm not going to go into that right now. But we have to dream and think so big that it captures God's attention. And what I mean by that, and I don't think any dream is too small, but I mean that why do we not do the impossible? What is it that keeps us confined? Now, you guys know I'm referring to a chapter in my book, Necessary. There's a chapter in here called Cage Thinking. When I talked about this is when God began to open my eyes and I began to see. I didn't even know. I didn't even know that I had cage thinking. I didn't know that the scarcity from my upbringing, and I constantly have to check myself on that just so you guys know, but I didn't even know the scarcity mindset, the scarcity from my upbringing. Because you guys know my story. I grew up on welfare. By the time my mama finished college, I was already an adult and we were graduating almost together, to be honest with you. And she was a single parent, had me at a very young age. We experienced homelessness, reading out of churches, pantries, you name it. So that began to come into my adult life. And so I didn't even know that I had cage thinking, that I was in this cage mindset. And anytime that I began to try to excel and grow in business or what have you, and I've been an entrepreneur for many years, by the way, many people don't know that. Since I was 13, I had my first business going door to door, selling and painting and doing artwork for people. So I've always been out there working, trying to take care of my family and all of that. But I didn't understand that what got me to this particular point in life, I'm referring back to the last maybe 15 or so years, I didn't understand what got me to that point was not going to be the same skill sets, the same mindset. Are you guys listening to me? The same mindset that I needed to get to the next level. Please write down what I'm about to tell you. I didn't understand. Listen to me. What got me to where I'm at now, and some of you may be in those shoes right now, which is why, yes, I am challenging you, especially those who are business owners, entrepreneurs, or you're thinking about starting a business or growing a business, or you haven't been able to get it off the ground, trying to write a book or trying to start a coaching program, you're trying to do whatever and it's not quite going. You really need to listen. I didn't understand that all of the skill sets and everything that got me to a certain point in life, I didn't understand I needed to develop newer skill sets. Now, I'm educated. I've got a master's degree, so it's not like I have a little bit of education up on me, but that really has little to do with it. I'm talking about developing and getting the right coaching, the right mentoring, being in the right environment. I didn't even know that had anything to do with it because I'm looking at people that, pretty much are familiar with me and I'm asking them for advice and they're looking at the old version of me and they don't even see the new version of me. So it's impossible for them to give me advice or to tell me what I should be doing or to help me think beyond my cage when they may be in a cage themselves. And they're seeing just that current version of me. So I didn't even understand. So my premise in going live is this. I want you all to start doing the impossible. And I wish I could spend a whole lot more time with you, but you guys, come on. It is time to start expanding the way that you think. Now, for those of you who were with me, was it Monday when we had our workshop session? Those that are members of the Unlocking Greatness community, you know, we talked about this. We talked about when you're deciding, when you're trying to figure out what exactly am I supposed to be doing, one of the main things that we're also supposed to be looking at is, wow, am I thinking big enough? Is this generational thinking? Or am I in this little cage? Right? Because God is a generational thinker. Are you guys hearing me? Okay, I'm seeing some comments in here. Hello, God bless you. Okay, encouraging views to share. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit from my book, Necessary. I wasn't planning on reading anymore today. God placed on my heart. I typically read in the morning at about 11:11, which is for whatever reason, that's the time he gave me to read. But there's a chapter in here. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. There's a chapter in here called Cage Mindset. And I'll just talk about it. And there's a part in here where I came to the realization of, wow, who is it that told me that I wasn't capable of accomplishing something great, right? Who told you that you were not capable, that you were thinking too big, right? Who told you that you have to stay on the career path that your degree is in? Who told you that you have excelled far enough? I want to talk on that for a moment. Just give me a moment to talk on that because this is very important. You guys, please learn from my mistakes. I go live on these platforms really just to share my life, my mistakes. And I know sometimes I may look foolish talking to you all. But I've made so many mistakes in life, even with a limited mindset. I honestly thought that I was being worldly or something was wrong with me spiritually because I desired more in life. I desired to excel. I desired to go further. I desired to start my own company. I desired to expand. In some kind of way, I don't know how I put God in this little box, but some kind of way, I put the maker of the earth in this little box and made it seem as if, this is just my limited thinking that I had back in the day, that if I'm pursuing greatness, if I'm pursuing success of any kind, and by the way, I think success is, a friend told me, doing what God told you to do in the time that he allows. That's a beautiful definition. I'll never forget it. But let me get back on track. I somehow thought that pursuing and going after the gifts and dreams God gave me, right? And anything to do with making money, that some kind of way that it was just evil and wrong, right? Because I had all of that in this box of worldliness. And I had no idea that my God is a God of abundance. I had no idea. All I thought when I would think about in reference, keep in mind, I grew up in church my whole life, my whole family. It's very few people in my family that are not ministers, deacons, or some. Even my mother, my sister, you name it. So that's just how my family rolled. My uncles, my grandpa, everybody a deacon, a minister, somebody got a church or something. So anyway, I just thought that any pursuit of that whatsoever was wrong. And it wasn't until I got in my word and I started reading and I started understanding and I started seeing how God moves and what he does and how he will give you really practically anything if you can be trusted with it. In other words, if it won't have you. Does that make sense? So let me not get off track because I was going someplace with this. Let me read this, and I've got something I'm going to show you guys. I bought a board in. I'm going to lift it up in a minute and show you. So it says, who told you that you've excelled far enough and you shouldn't go any higher? And again, in my case, I told myself because I thought something was wrong by me growing my company or by me expanding. Who told you that? Who put you in that cage? And I'm just going to turn over to another page really quickly. We'll probably talk more about this tomorrow. But I'm going to read a part in page 147. This is a challenge I'm giving to you all. I challenge you to dream so high and reach so high beyond your generation, beyond your cage thinking, that it captures the attention of God. We must get out of our cages and give him something to work with. Let us never forget, and I quote, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. And that's Proverbs 23:7. I have something I want to show you all. This is a sign that I made years ago. I don't know if you can see it. You see that beautiful board? I did an entire podcast on this a long time ago, probably about 2 years ago. It says, do the impossible. I don't know if you all can see it. And I remember when I was in this store, what was the name of this store? Shout out to, I don't know if that's a BG or a BC Creative Studio. I think they're somewhere in Wisconsin or something. But my sister and I went there a long time ago and just spent the day making our own individual boards. And I remember when I got this board, and it had some marks and things in it. And I remember telling the lady to give me another board because this board was all, had some things in it. She goes, "Oh, no, 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 no." She goes, "No, it's all the dings and all the little things that you see inside of the board. Hopefully you guys can see that." She goes, "That's what gives it its character." And then I remember she gave me some nails and screws and just told us to kind of beat it. And so we actually weathered it even more and painted it and did these things. So I actually hold this sign. I have this sign hanging up in my office. And whenever I'm sitting at my desk, and I actually just came from looking at it, which is why I'm talking to you guys. I literally was looking up there at the sign that "Do the Impossible." And that's when God put on my spirit, I need you to remind my people that with me, all things are possible. All things are possible, you guys. But there's a catch to this. Now, hold on with this. Thank you for doing these lives. You're welcome, baby. You're welcome. There's a catch to this. Listen carefully. I didn't understand the importance of seeking wisdom. I talked to you all about that a number of times before. I did not understand the importance that as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another, right? We're taught that, right? I didn't understand that with many advisors, plans succeed, right? I didn't understand that. And so I would spend, to be honest with you, I wish I could say days or weeks or months, but it was years. I would spend years, oh my God, making mistakes and trying to figure stuff out on my own because I didn't even understand the value, let alone of mentorship or getting some sort of outside professional help. I just thought you're supposed to keep doing what you're doing and keep praying. Of course, we always pray until we just get it figured out. And as I began to dig further and further into my scriptures, then I began to realize, oh, God works through men to help men. We're actually here to help each other. So I'm challenging you all. I'm going to read a passage to you about wisdom. And I can't talk too long because I'm actually about to jump into a session. I'm going to read a passage to you all. But I want to challenge you all, especially for those who are entrepreneurs, who are business owners, who are people out there who are trying to write a book or start a coaching program or get your ministry off the ground or anything like that. I'm going to challenge you, and this is out of love. Get yourself into a good mentorship or a good community program. I've told you many times mine is open. Mine is at unlockinggreatness.com, and those introductory rates are still there right now. We were supposed to take them off yesterday, but the lady that's supposed to have been removing that is actually out sick today. So I said, okay, we'll just keep that same rate there. But get yourself into a good program and get yourself into a good, especially for business owners, yourself into a business community. We have both. We have professional development as well as entrepreneur. But get yourself in the room with people so that you can learn from mistakes and you can see that, oh my goodness, there's so much more open to me. You guys, that's why I get with coaches, and I don't get with coaches a lot, to be honest, but I was in Atlanta a few months ago because guess what? I wanted to be in a room with a whole lot of coaches from all around the world and just learn. Now, maybe 80-90% of the things they do, I don't do and don't want to do. I'm just being honest with you. But it was at 10%. It was at 5, 10, 15% that I was able to walk away with. And I'm like, oh, this is good. And then it's almost as if when you begin to pray, God begins to open your eyes and look, you can do the impossible. But when you don't get yourself into the right surroundings, you end up getting frustrated because you're trying on your own to figure it out, or you're talking to people who really, they haven't been where you're trying to go. Am I right? And they love us and they're trying their best to give us some advice, but they don't know. And what could take days or in some cases weeks is taking you years. And you sit there getting frustrated. And I'm only talking to you like this because I've lived through it many times. This isn't me putting a judgment. I'm speaking my truths. I've gotten frustrated through the years. Let me tell you a story. I wonder, should I read this passage first? You guys turn over to, I don't know if you can see my Bible, but turn over to Proverbs chapter 3. We'll see how much we have to, we can read through it. But I want to tell you a really quick story. I remember having a consultant years ago. And keep in mind, I wasn't used to paying consultants and all that because, we pray and figure it out and keep it moving. But it wasn't until I lost a whole lot of money and I'm like, okay, I guess I need to get some help from somebody. And I'll never forget, she was consulting and talking to me about, Z, here's some of the things you need to do with your company. And I'm like, I ain't going to be doing all of that. She was talking to me about, Z, you're in too many seats. You need to get, a VP or you need to get a whatever. And I was like, well, that's not a seat that produces any income. And so in my mind, just follow me a second, you guys. In my cage limited mindset, I didn't see that as something important because I was used to sort of hustling my whole life. You know what I mean by hustling, working hard day in and day out. And I didn't see now she teaches, she coaches lots of big corporations, and here I am, this small little company, but she was giving me some nuggets. She may be watching right now, which is so funny. And I just at the time wasn't willing to accept the advice. Right? I accepted some of it, but not all. I implemented a little bit, but not much. And guess what happened? Over the next 2-3 years, what do you think happened? What do you think happened? I end up kind of crawling back a little bit saying, you know what? I'm overloaded. I need more help. I don't have the organizational structures in place. I don't have the process and the procedures in place. Now, here's what I'm getting at. Remember when I said earlier, and this applies whether you have a business or not, but right now I'm really talking to a lot of people who are in business. Remember when I said earlier, what got you to where you're at now, baby? Now you got to go a step higher in your wisdom and your knowledge and in your surroundings and even the company you keep to get to the next level. Get yourself surrounded by people who's been there, done that, who at least can give you some instruction. Let me explain to you why wisdom is important. In Proverbs chapter 3, and by the way, the reason I got to get off this live soon, I actually have a 4 o'clock appointment with someone, right? He gets with me every couple months, and he goes over, my company and walks through things with me, right? And so, I don't always look forward to those meetings, to be honest with you. But I had to learn the hard way. Everybody needs some form of a coach or a mentor in their life. And now I really seek that out. In fact, I'm the one that reached out to him and say, hey, it's been a couple months. Can we get together again and go over some things? You get my point? I'm getting together with another person a little bit later who I'm going to be talking to and just getting some advice from spiritually. Like, hey, how do you think I'm doing? Is there anything in me you see that needs it? You get my point? I told some of you all I just started grief counseling, because someone suggested, Z, it may not be a bad idea for you to go through counseling. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Z, all that stuff costs money. No, a lot of that stuff is actually not as expensive as you think. The grief counseling is actually extremely inexpensive, right? The counseling for my business, yes, I have someone coming in and helping me. But if you're in the United States, there's many programs called SCORE, SCORE. Not sure if you all are familiar with that. They're almost in every state, and they're there to help small businesses. You get my point? So I'm trying to appeal to you all that even for those of you who feel like, but Z, I don't have nothing to invest in coaching and mentoring, there's always some form or way of getting help, even if it's through a local community or organization. And for those of you who are able to get into a mentorship or a coaching program, such as mine or what have you, definitely get yourself in something like that so you can get the help that you need for personal and for entrepreneur. Does that make sense? All right, I'm going to read. Someone says accountability. Yes. And I wish to God, who said that? Truly sensitive. I wish to God I would have, you have to just learn. I made such mistakes back in the day because I didn't grow up in an environment where I had someone really teaching me business stuff and making sure I understood the importance of systems and automations and a workflow and management and leadership and organizational structure and all of that. And so I didn't take the advice, and it hurt me really badly because I ended up making some mistakes along the way. But you're right. You need that accountability. That's why that is so, so, so important. And that's why I got my little butt on this live right now speaking to you all. Because some people out here probably, small business owners or it could just be you. It's okay being a one-person company. That's fine. But I'm letting you know, baby, please don't make the mistakes that I made. Just learn from me, okay? What got you to where you're at now is not going to be the same skill set and mindset that's going to get you to that next level, okay? That's what I love about the Unlocking Greatness community. When all of the entrepreneurs come together, we meet every other Wednesday, by the way. It's the most phenomenal meeting in the world. I'm laughing because in our last meeting, some of them say, oh my God, Z, it's just so much. Like I've never received this much in this amount of coaching in so many different areas because we all come together and we cover everything from growing your company, your social media following. I mean, name something, to getting your products up and going, to starting your coaching program. Like it's all encompassing. And they're just like, Z, this is unbelievable. But that's what happens when you get people together and you get all of this experience, So like in my program, some people in there are coaches or ministers or what have you. And I love how sometimes they'll pop up on the screen because we put people in what's called like a hot seat. which is kind of cool. Anybody can be in the hot seat. All you have to do is just say, I want to be in the hot seat this week. And we literally put you in the hot seat. What I love is then some of the other coaches who are specialized in some of those areas, they then come in there and then they're coaching and giving some advice to this person. That's how you learn and grow. One lady said, and she's probably on this live now, she says, I've learned more in one of these entrepreneur sessions, Z, than I've learned, I think she said, in 20 or 30 years. If you go to my website, she's on the homepage and you can look at the video. I'm not making this up. And she said, I've learned more in one session than I have in 20 or 30 years. Like, it's amazing. Get the advice and the help that you need to save time. So the premise of this whole theme is no more distractions. Don't be distracted. You don't have to sit. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and I'm not going to mention the name because I keep things private. And she could be watching. All I'll say is, oh, it just hurt me so bad to hear this. All I'll say is she's working on writing a book, and I got to keep this really basic because I got to respect privacy. And all I say is she ended up being out of a whole lot of money going with somebody, and it just didn't work out. And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to go into any more details. I respect privacy. And I just sat there with her, and I mean, she had tears in her eyes. We talked about it, and I just said, I just wish that you just would have called me. I said, and she says, I know, Z. I said, I just wish that. And so I'm thinking, gosh, the time that you could have saved, the amount of money you could have saved. Why? Because I've been down that road. Because when I first wrote my book, I ended up spending a ridiculous amount of money and ended up with a garage filled with books. And I had no idea that there was better ways and faster ways to do it. So you guys get my point about no more distractions and about focusing on doing the impossible. Get yourself into the right type of mentorship, the right type of community, the right type of environment. Even if you take yourself to your local SBA organizations and you just get together with some of them, get the help that you need. Let me read this scripture. Is this helping someone? Someone says, I don't have one Christian friend. Baby, I would strongly advise get yourself into a good mentorship program, a good church, a good community. I always tag mine and say that mine is open. Unlockinggreatness.com is my site where people are coming together, and we really do wrap our arms around people. I saw some people join earlier today, and we've already welcomed them in the community. People are already welcoming them and wishing them well. So I'm sorry to hear that, baby, but still don't let that hold you down, okay? All right, let me read this really quickly and let me see. I definitely will. Yes, it's happening. Okay, so turn over to Proverbs 3 really quickly. I'm just going to speak a little bit about wisdom. I keep, as you guys can see, my pages are all marked up. But I keep this scripture near me because it just reminds me how important it is to seek wisdom. It says, my son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart. I'm in verse 1. For they will prolong your life many years and bring you prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor. Did you hear that? And a good name in the sight of God and man. I recite that almost every day. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. Now listen to verse 7. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Now I'm going to jump to verse 13 really quickly. Blessed is the man who finds wisdom, the man who gains understanding. Did you all catch that? Blessed is the man who finds wisdom, the man who gains understanding. For she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold. They're talking wisdom. I said they're talking wisdom. This passage is talking wisdom. She's more profitable than silver and yields better return than gold. She's more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with her. We're talking about the benefits of wisdom, you guys. Long life is in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are pleasant ways, and all her paths are peace. She's a tree of life to those who embrace her. Those who lay hold of her will be blessed. And then it just goes on down into one of my favorite verses in verse 23. Then you will go on your way in safety, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Oh my goodness, I can keep reading. And then going on into chapter 4, in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 5. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or swerve from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. Wisdom is supreme, therefore get wisdom. Though it costs all you have, get understanding. Esteem her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. Oh my gosh, I can keep reading. She will set a garland of grace on your head and present you with a crown of splendor. I love those passages on wisdom. So now my theme is, let me hold my board back up. I'm Zenja, by the way. Everyone calls me Z for those who are like, who is this lady that's doing all this talking? But anyway, talking a little fast because I've got to run to a meeting in just a minute. I'm going to hold this back up, this sign that says, do the impossible. And I'm challenging you all. I want you all to start dreaming way bigger and way beyond what you have in mind right now. Way beyond. It literally is almost like an entirely different paradigm shift. Now, some of you may know what I mean when I say paradigm shift. You got to get rid of that whole old thinking, that whole cage mindset. And it's almost like you have to literally have a new, here it is, be transformed by the renewal of your minds. Does that make sense? And I want you guys to start thinking, what is it that I can do that would seem impossible? That's my question to you all. I've got maybe 5 or 10 minutes max, and I got to close out of this. What is it that would seem impossible for you? Let me start with mine. When I wrote this book, Necessary, when God wrote it through me, I should say, and I even wrote about it in here. I said, God placed in here and showed me that this is going to become a bestseller. He's going to spread this all over the nations. All over the nations. Now, I'm a no-name author for the most part, right? I know I have a lot of social media followers, but on the grand scale, don't nobody really know me, right? Some people would disagree, but on the grand scale, how God's going to get that book across to every nation all over the world, that's my form of doing the impossible, right? The only strategy he's given me is, first of all, he's told me I want you to be reading that book at 11:11, which I read that earlier today at 11:11 on the dot. He told me I've already placed people in position that's going to help spread it all over the world. You just need to walk in obedience. I've even placed people in position that's actually going to fund it. Because I'm like, God, how are we going to do that? And he's like, you just need to do what I'm telling you to do. And slowly and surely, God's beginning to spread and grow it. That's a form of, remember I said earlier, you all, I want you to be in the mindset. Oh, I wish I had more time. Try not to turn this into a whole mentorship session. I said this earlier. You all need to be in the mindset of working in partnership with God. Now, when you work in partnership with God, things get a little scary. Because sometimes he have you doing things and you're like, Lord, did I really hear you? And that's a whole nother podcast all by itself in terms of how do I know I'm hearing from God. If you go to my YouTube channel, I've got an old video up on that thing. I'm not going to go into it now, but you can watch the whole video. And I think that's what I called it. How do I know if I hear from God? Won't go into that now. But anyway, you work in partnership with him. And when you work in partnership with him, because he's overall, right? He's going to have you doing some things that you may think is impossible. Just like he got my little butt on a podcast and doing social media videos, and anyone who knows me knows that I'm private and I don't even like social media. And yet through the years, look at what God has done, just blowing on it. So my question to you all, and I really got to talk fast now, what is it that may seem impossible for you? So think about the dream you have right now. What is it? I want to see your comments. What is it that you're thinking, nah, I don't know about that one. Like, that's beyond me. And the reason I'm bringing this up, I'm trying my best not to turn this into a mentorship session. When I was in session Monday with those I teach for personal development, part of figuring out what exactly is it I'm supposed to be doing, I'll just give you a little nugget from it, is if it's something you already know how to do and you pretty much have already got it worked out, or at least, especially for those of you who are very analytical, who are like, I got to do this and then this and then this. In my humble opinion, the dream is not big enough because God always calls us higher. It's biblical. He always calls us higher to higher grounds. There's always some sort of a transformation. That's why anyone that joins the Unlocking Greatness community, I shouldn't say I require, I ask that everyone walks through the necessary retreat. Many of you know what I'm talking about. It's a 12-week program that's a part of being a member of my community. And you walk through this entire 12-week program because you got to understand that whole process that you go through, from figuring out who you are in God, to figuring out what do you need to let go, to preparing for new territory, to walking in mastery, right? Let me get back to my point. What is it that may seem impossible for you? So can I thank you for your videos? They've encouraged me, and thank you. I pray to find a local church where I will thrive. Amen. Love hearing that, baby. Honestly, I don't know what those things are. I feel lost. I would strongly encourage you, baby, in the meantime, if the Unlocking Greatness community is absolutely open for you to walk through and really begin to walk through that 12-week process of figuring it out. Who the heck am I and what am I supposed to be doing? And again, that program is based on the Necessary book, but it really, and I'm not just saying this to say it, we get comments every single day. Not an exaggeration. In fact, I'm going to make sure we get those more comments up on the website every single day. Not an exaggeration. People are commenting saying, you don't understand how this is changing my life. Like, I didn't even realize how to start dreaming again, Z. And even the entrepreneurs, they're like, Z, I've been in so many coaching programs. I've never been in a program where I can ask a question and pretty much within a few hours max, either you or somebody is answering my question and they're there for me. This is unheard of. So get yourself into the right kind of environment. But baby, I'm sorry to hear that. Crystal says, that's right, Sister Z. I just love you, Crystal. Thank you. So I have a list of impossibles, but a big one is moving to another state, but need provision. Okay. So someone says they're going to make it a prayer point. Someone says, where can I get your book? That's on my site at unlockinggreatness.com. The audiobook and the signed paperback copies you can order on my site. If you don't need an autographed copy, you can get it straight from Amazon. Someone says nonprofit books, backpack technology on wheel. Oh, that sounds amazing. Yes, yes, yes. What else? I want to see. I should have been scrolling this really, really quickly, you guys, and I got to go in a minute. What is it that seems impossible? Thank you, Crystal. Love you too. I just love Crystal. So what is it that seems impossible? Someone says, the Lord told me next year I will run a marathon. I'm currently training for a half marathon. Come on. I love it. What is it that seems impossible? What is it that... Now, earlier, when I was talking to you all, I was talking about how the enemy works and how the enemy, what did we talk about earlier? We were talking about distractions, right? That was earlier this morning. And we talked about how I read a little bit from my book called If I Were Your Enemy, and how the enemy tries to come against you, right? And feed you all these distractions and negative things so that you don't focus on what seems impossible for you. So let me see. Thank you. Been packing by faith. Okay. Consistent faith in God, even in hard times. I love that. I love that. Starting my well-being business seems impossible. So I would say to you what I said earlier. That's why it's important. Save yourself some time. Get yourself into a good mentorship program. Mine is absolutely open. I love the entrepreneurs we meet every other Wednesday. And all I can say, if you sit in on one of those sessions, you're probably going to be like, oh my goodness, this is just so much. I didn't know it was this much I would be learning. But even if, again, you don't want to get in mind, get yourself into a good program where you're going to get the help you need and save some time. Mine is to help 10 women turn from poverty mindset to kingdom abundance mindset. That's my impossible goal for the summer because it's been on my mind, but not in my hands too. I love that. I love that. Someone says, pay off my debt. I go, okay. Your messages are literally life-changing. Thank you for honestly sharing your life knowledge, wisdom, and love with us. Thank you, baby. Thank you so much. You know, it's funny because I just share a lot of my own mess because I've messed up so much. So here's my challenge to you all. Do what I'm doing. I'm about to get off this live right now because I'm about to walk into a mentorship session. I'm about to sit down with someone that's going to evaluate me, my business, what's going on, how are you going about doing things. And I don't always like those sessions because, man, they go deep. But I have to do what I have to do because there's things that you may not know that you can be doing wrong. Sometimes you can be so close to the issue, to the problem, you don't even see. You don't even see what's wrong. You're working on something that really probably could have taken a few days or a few weeks, a few months at the most, and you've been working on it for the longest and getting frustrated because you're not in the right room, in the right environments where someone can say, hey, don't go that route. I already did that, baby, that way. How about you just do this? Just like the other day in one of the sessions we had, I think we were in the entrepreneur session. Sometimes in personal development, we still talk a little bit about entrepreneur. I think that was a personal development session. And there's someone working on something. She's probably watching this now, and she's painting. She's doing painting and pictures. At least 10 ideas ran across my mind of like, oh my goodness, let me slow down so I don't throw too much at her in terms of how she can market and brand that. And began to start getting orders in, right? Why? Because I've been in business 26, 27 years. I've done a lot of things from private labeling, you name it, writing books, running an agency, having my own online store. I mean, I've done a lot of things. And then she's in a community with so many other people who's able to give that insight. So she don't quite know this just yet, but what probably would take her a couple of years to figure out, and a lot of making mistakes and probably losing a lot of money, she's going to be on a whole different track record just because of the room she's in. That's why it's important to get that mentorship and get in the right rooms. So anyway, I've got to go. I want to encourage you all. First of all, the topic of this is no more distractions. This is a part 2. If it is God's will, I'll be doing a part 3 tomorrow. No more distractions. The subtitle of this is, I want you all to start doing the impossible. I see loving animals back to life. Suzanne from Zimbabwe, trusting in God for a ministry and financial breakthrough. I know I'm a skilled songwriter, but I've been really afraid. Making $10,000 a month seems impossible for me right now. See, when I read it, you're going to make it really hard for me to get off this live, and I've got to go. When I read a statement like that, making $10,000 a month seems impossible to me right now, everything in my whole body wants to jump through this phone and sit down next to you and walk you through this whole mindset exercise that I teach. It's called a Get Unstuck Challenge. And everything in my whole body wants to sit down next to you and say, baby, we can, in less than a week or so, get that figured out quite simple. And I would just start talking to you about your life. What is your stories? Do you have a book inside of you? Do you have a program inside of you? Do you have a product? What is it? And then when you figure out what that is, what that seed is that God's given you, right? Because I have a lot of business knowledge, there's just 50 different ways where you can do that. That's why it's important to get in the right room, in the right environment. Now, don't think I've arrived on everything. There are other coaches that get with me, right? And they look at me and say, okay, Z, you're not doing bad. You got a nice following. You're reaching people. You seem to really love what you're doing. But let me tap you on the shoulder a little bit, because there's a lot of things you're not seeing that you don't know. And guess what? I am in less than 8 minutes about to get with a mentor that's going to sit down and show me. So you get my point? Iron sharpens iron. One man helps another. That's how you do the impossible. Number one, keep God as number one in your life. I say this every time. No coach is better than God or the Word of God. That's number one. But the biggest thing, and I don't know if you were with me earlier, baby, when I read from my book, Necessary, the chapter on cage mindset, I did not know that I was in a cage because I wasn't in the right rooms and I didn't have people in my life that had done what I was hoping to get done. So I was in that cage. And you can tell you're in a cage by the words you speak to yourself. And I mean that with love and respect, baby. I do. God knows I love you. I mean that with love and respect. You can tell you're in a little bit of a cage mindset by the very words that you speak to yourself. So you have to get yourself in the right environments. That's why coaching and mentoring is so important. And for those of you who say, well, Z, coaching and mentoring is very expensive. You're right. It is. Most coaches out there, it's going to cost a nice dollar. But you guys already know for the last couple of weeks, I've had my program open where God put in my heart to lift the gate so that people who normally can't afford it can get in it. And I told you guys earlier today, and I made it clear. I said, when my rates go back to the normal rates, which we were supposed to do it today, but she was sick and didn't come in. So if she comes in tomorrow, we'll do it tomorrow. And if she's still sick tomorrow, we'll do it Monday. But I don't want to hear anyone emailing me or messaging me saying, but Z, I can't afford to get in now, because I've kept this rate for the last, has it been 5 or 6 weeks, you guys? For about 4 or 5 weeks, I've kept that same rate, that $27 and $47 rate, just for anybody to come in for personal development or for entrepreneur. Because God put it in my heart, there's so many people that normally can't afford coaching. And he says, baby, I need you to lift the gates and let them in. And I'm like, God, I'm going to lose a lot of money doing that. That's super low. And God put it in my heart, I need you to do what I'm telling you. And I walked in obedience. So I do want to say, when that does go back up, don't be emailing me saying, Z, can you keep it up another day? It's still open now. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow it'll still be open. We'll see. And that's at unlockinggreatness.com. For those of you, someone says I'm in the mentorship. Hey, baby. For those of you who have joined today, I think I've already reached out to you. But for those of you who do get in there now, make sure you go inside the community and introduce yourself, because we have the best community in the universe, if you ask me. And make sure you start on the necessary retreat right away. That's really, really important. The necessary retreat, I put so much hard work into that, in prayers. Walks you through a whole 12-week transformational journey. And every other week, you're going to be in a live Zoom group workshop meeting with me. Just so you know, sometimes I have guest speakers come, but mainly with me. And that won't be a part of that package anymore, maybe by tomorrow or by Monday. But we put it together so that anybody that needs the help can get the help they need right now. So hopefully that'll help you, baby. I love you all. I pray that you've been encouraged. I'm going to get on out of here. I think I'm going to join your membership. I hope to see you, baby. If you do, I'll be talking to you later on tonight, or whenever you get in there. I got to run. My site again is unlockinggreatness.com. For those of you who've joined the book club, get ready. Make sure you've ordered your book. Because I'm going to be sending out emails to you all to let you know when we're going to be walking through chapters. And I said earlier, anyone that starts their own book club based on necessary, to message me and let me know, because I plan on joining just one of your book club meetings. Not the whole meeting, but just a little bit of it. I'm going to join the meeting. So that's my ask from you guys, is please help spread this all over the world. If you know someone going through things, if you want to get a book club started, the only ask that I have is order necessary, start your book club, message me and let me know. And if you do post about it on social media or something, tag me so that I can thank you, okay? I love you guys. I think I just got a message in because my mentor is waiting on me, and I got to meet right at 4 o'clock. So I love you guys. Please take the advice I'm telling you. Please, please, please focus on what I said earlier, doing the impossible. And you can't use the same tools. You got to take it up another notch higher, baby. You got to go up a little bit higher, because those same things that got you to where you're at now, unfortunately, I learned that the hard way, is not the same mindset, the same tools that's going to get you to the next level. It's going to frustrate you and drag you along, because now you got to be transformed and go up even higher. So that's why mentorship and all of that is so, first of all, loving God and putting him number one in your life is more important than any mentorship. That's number one. But my point is, that's why mentorship and is so important, to get that help you need, okay? I love you guys. I love you. Someone says, I love your whole vibe. Thank you, baby. Love you guys. Someone says, I missed the details of the mentorship. It's available on my site at unlockinggreatness.com. That introductory rate is still there, at least for the day. Anyone that's in there, please make sure you introduce yourself in the community so I can talk to you later, okay? I love you guys. Love you, love you, love you. It's time to do the impossible. Bye-bye. All right, I got to go because my mentor's waited on me. Bye-bye. All right, bye, you guys. Love you. Love you, love you, love you. All right, bye, you guys. I got to get out of here. He's already waiting.